Just heading out. I'll wait for Lori.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got a really fun one for you. We're diving into a New York story. It's a drama about a young woman who's living in this super elite New York social circle, but risks everything when she falls for a photographer who's, well, not exactly part of her world. I've got a full breakdown of the movie coming right up, so sit back, relax, and let me walk you through the plot as the scenes unfold. Alright, let's get into it. Our story begins with Emma, a young woman in her mid-20s, living in the heart of New York City. She's part of this tight-knit, wealthy clique, led by her best friend, Clara. These two have been inseparable for years, and Clara, being the socialite that she is, loves the glamorous life they lead, the parties, the fashion, the high-society dinners. Emma, well, she goes along with it, but there's this feeling that maybe she's not entirely satisfied with that life. But she hasn't figured that part out yet. One of the first scenes really sets the tone for their friendship. They're walking down the street, both dressed in these ridiculously chic outfits, heading to a cafe that they've probably been to 100 times before. Clara, as usual, is talking a mile a minute about her latest shopping spree or some party they need to attend. Then suddenly, she stops. Wait, what did you lose? Emma asks, looking kind of concerned but also used to this behavior. Oh, my gloves. They're lambskin, though. I'll be right back. Clara says, already dashing back toward a store without missing a beat. Emma is left standing there waiting on the sidewalk, which is kind of symbolic when you think about it. She's always there, waiting for Clara following her lead. But today, something different happens. As Emma waits, she looks across the street and catches sight of David. He's this rugged, laid-back photographer, standing there with his camera slung over his shoulder, completely unaware that he's about to change Emma's life. Their eyes meet, and it's this brief but powerful moment. Emma's caught off guard, almost like something inside her has been stirred, but she doesn't really understand it yet. Clara returns, gloves in hand, and they continue their day. But Emma's clearly distracted now. Something about David has gotten under her skin. If you're enjoying the breakdown so far, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I post recaps like this all the time, and trust me, you don't want to miss them. Now, let's get back to the story. A few days pass, and Emma can't stop thinking about David. There's this pull she feels toward him, but she's still very much wrapped up in Clara's world. It's all about the parties, the brunches, and of course, the expectations. You can tell Emma's struggling to figure out where she fits in all this. Then, one night, they end up at an art gallery. Clara's dragged Emma along because, naturally, it's the place to be seen. The gallery is packed with New York's elite, all mingling and sipping champagne. Emma's doing her best to blend in, but then, surprise, David is there, showcasing his latest photography exhibit. His work is raw and gritty, completely different from the polished high-society scene around them. Emma's immediately drawn to his photos, and in that moment, she sees him again across the room. He sees her too, and this time, he makes his move. "I've seen you before," David says with a casual grin, walking up to her. His voice is smooth, and there's something about him that makes Emma's heart skip a beat. Emma, clearly caught off guard but trying to play it cool, smiles back. "Yeah, I remember." From that moment on, everything changes. Emma starts sneaking away from her usual hangouts to meet up with David. They have this instant connection. It's like he's showing her a whole new side of New York, a side she never even knew existed. They roam the city together, this from gritty street corners to quiet parks, talking about everything from art to life and everything in between. David shows her the beauty in the imperfections of the city, and Emma, she's falling hard. But of course, not everything can be perfect, right? As Emma grows closer to David, the tension between her and Clara starts to build. Clara is noticing the shift. Emma's not around as much. She's less interested in the usual socialite events, and she's being way more secretive than usual. Clara, being the bold and somewhat self-centered person that she is, confronts Emma one night. "You've been different lately," Clara says, her eyes narrowing over the rim of her champagne glass. "Ever since you started seeing him." Emma tries to brush it off, but there's no denying it. She's changed. The more she spends time with David, the more she realizes that her life with Clara and the clique isn't what she wants anymore. It's like she's finally waking up from this long dream she's been living in. One of the best scenes in the movie is when Emma and David have this deep conversation on a rooftop, overlooking the city. It's quiet, except for the distant hum of traffic below, and the two of them are sitting there, wrapped up in their own little world. David opens up about why he became a photographer. "I wanted to capture the beauty in the things people usually overlook," David says, his voice soft but full of meaning. He's not just talking about photography, he's talking about life, about Emma. Emma listens, hanging on his every word. She's never met someone like him before. Someone who sees the world so differently from the way she's been taught to see it. For the first time in her life, Emma feels like she's being truly seen, not as part of some elite group, but as her. The real Emma. It's a turning point for her. She realizes that David represents everything she's been missing: authenticity, passion, and the freedom to just be herself. But of course, things get more complicated. Emma's relationship with David doesn't sit well with Clara and their friends. They don't outright say it, but it's clear David isn't one of them. And in their world, that matters. Clara, being the protective and somewhat possessive best friend, gives Emma an ultimatum. "You know this can't last, right?" Clara says one afternoon, her voice full of frustration. "He's not one of us. He never will be." Emma knows Clara's right. David doesn't fit into their world. He's not part of the elite, and their friends would never accept him. But something in Emma has shifted. She's no longer sure if she even wants to be part of that world anymore. This all leads to a massive blowout at one of their fancy galas. Emma shows up, dressed to perfection, but she's already made up her mind. Clara confronts her in front of everyone. "So what's it going to be, Emma?" Clara demands, her voice loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. "Him or us?" The room goes silent and all eyes are on Emma. It's the moment of truth. She looks around at the faces of her so-called friends, then at Clara, who's waiting for an answer. Emma takes a deep breath and, in that moment, chooses her own happiness. "I choose me," she says firmly, her voice steady. It's a powerful moment. Emma's finally taking control of her own life. She walks out of that party, leaving Clara and her old life behind, and heads straight into David's arms. The movie ends on a hopeful note. Emma and David are walking hand in hand through the streets of New York, just two people in love, trying to figure out their future together. It's not perfect, and they know there will be challenges ahead, but for the first time in a long time, Emma feels free. And that's the story of A New York Story. It's a beautiful tale of love, self-discovery, and breaking free from the expectations of others. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like and subscribe for more movie breakdowns. Thanks for sticking with me, and I'll see you in the next video.